What's good, you all? Today I'm gonna be doing a how-to video for how I got my subs all wired, ran, and set up, and I'm gonna show y'all a little bit of what I did. First off, you're gonna need obviously your amp. If you're running the capacitor, I'll show you how to do it with the capacitor. If you're not gonna run a capacitor, I'm gonna show you how to do it without a capacitor. Remote for the front, so I can have the little gain up front with me. Got screws, hardware, charging fuse, some terminals. You're gonna need speaker wire. I'm not going to be using this wire in the video. I already have some stuff ran in my car already, but you're going to need speaker wire, a lot of positive, a little bit of negative, some simple tools, you know, stuff like that. Alright, to get started, you're going to need to remove your battery. We'll disconnect the positive and negative. But in this particular model car, the battery's in the back. Usually, your battery will be up front, maybe under wheel well, something like that, but my battery's under my back seat. But yeah, I'm gonna show you that right quick. All right, so after you locate your battery, you have your positive terminal, negative. Go ahead, disconnect the negative, then disconnect the positive. Now, once you locate your battery, whether it's in the front or the back, you're going to open up one of the bare ends on this positive cable. You want to clamp a little clamp on it, like right there. Get it screwed in if your battery has an accessory terminal, or on some batteries with this 0 gauge wires going in, it's unscrewable. And this little plate you can lift up, you can unscrew it. You can run this wire through there bare with the little connections on the inside, the bare wire, or you can have it bolted on if you have it set up like this. It's very easy getting the wire to the battery. After you get this power cable routed to the battery, you're gonna want to wire in a fuse box, or I don't know what style you would call this, but this is a fuse. Your fuse plug-in inline fuse. You're gonna run a fuse in between there. Don't connect it up just yet, but you have that little fuse in there. You want to put that in last after everything's done. Now, for those of you whose battery's in the front, you're gonna want to locate your firewall. It's gonna be a rubber thing with like some more wires going in between it. You can use a pair of flathead screwdriver, anything sharp to put a hole through there. You're gonna run the same setup with your battery. Let's say this is your battery right here. You're gonna want to run it through that wall, and usually with most firewalls, it comes out under the glove box in the car. Now, along with all this, depending on the rating of your amp, I'm sure you're gonna have an amp wiring kit, which is gonna include positive, negatives, RCAs, which they're in the trunk right now. I'll show you the RCAs. Remote turn on wire. This one's short because I already got one ran right now. And a few of the essentials that you're gonna use. So you'd have to come up in here under the glove box. You usually have to remove like this backing. There's probably maybe an AC door or just a vent or a plastic panel. You're gonna want to remove that to get to where that firewall drops in through. You'll be able to thread it through, drop it down. And with most cars, you're able to take this panel up, the siding up. You're gonna run that positive wire down under this siding, through this panel. You're gonna have to take the car apart, like really take the car apart. Take these panels off to the point you can run that wire back here, like where this one is. Each trunk's gonna be different with the back seat. If you have a folding rear seat, it's gonna be a lot easier. If you have a stationary seat where it's bolted on, you can either unbolt it and run a wire right through, or find a little slip, like right up in there, that goes right back to the trunk. There's a little gap. You can find a gap if your rear seat doesn't move. It's very easy to find. My gap brought me out right under there. Like back there is the back of that seat where that little gap was I was showing you before. You're gonna run this positive wire through and put a connection on the end of it. Mine's already connected right here. That's how I was explaining to you earlier with the battery. A ring terminal for the battery. You may need a terminal like this for your amp, or your amp may take bare wire. You get that wire plugged in there, you'll be good to go. So basically that's the first step for getting your positive wire ran through. Next, you're gonna run around your RCAs, either from your head unit, and in that case, you're gonna want to do the same thing for the positive wire, except on this side, your head unit would be in here. Under here, you'll be able to fish the head unit wires up through here, under your dash, because your head unit and headboard will come out. It's like you see like a whole little area of light where like basically, this is just like one big hole that'll go up through there. You can fish your RCAs through there, come through here, drop them down. Same thing with this panel. Get this panel picked up, take this panel up, take this panel off. I'm gonna be doing so here in just a second so I can run this new wiring for my amp remote. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and take this one off actually. But yeah, you're gonna run around your wires under here. That's gonna be for your RCA. I don't have an RCA under here because I have a line converter. I'm gonna show you the line converter in just a second. And with your line converter, you're going to use the speakers in your rear deck or your door. If you can access your door speakers, that'll be good. But I got these T-taps off of Amazon for like, I think $4 or $5. You get a couple of these packs. When it's tapping your positive of your rear deck and your negative. Color coding, the brighter wire is usually positive, darker wire is usually negative because these are brown and yellow. I didn't expect to see that when I first did it. But you're gonna have this right here. This is I think stereo line right here. I forget which one it is, the description is, but you're gonna tap into the positive and the negative. It is stereo because you have 2 positive wires for the line converter. You have 2 negative wires. You could just wire the 2 positives out of the lines together and the 2 negatives to make for, I guess, a mono signal or whatever you want to call it. And this red wire is going to be a ground. I'm going to show you where I grounded everything in just a second. But basically, you're getting a signal from your speaker by tapping into it. No, it doesn't interfere with it. It works just fine. It's getting an audio signal. It goes into this line converter right here. RCA. Have it tucked away. Drops out here. You're going to need the RCA for the amp. So far we cover positive, RCAs. Now for your remote turn on. Basically, I was telling y'all earlier about running the remote turn on from your upper deck. I have a stock head unit. So what you want to do is either locate your fuse box, which would be up here, but my battery and everything's back here. So my fuse box happens to be back here. What you're going to want to get is called a mini fuse tap. Basically, where you're tapping into a fuse. And you're going to find whatever fuse you can in your manual that only turns on when the ignition is halfway, or find one that's turned on when the ignition is fully cut over, when the engine's on and running. Otherwise, you're going to be given a constant remote signal if you don't find the right fuse and tell them the amp to stay on, which is going to drain your battery. You want to take this regular fuse out, like your fuse number 10 out, take this fuse tap, put it in place, and replace the fuse that was there. Like this fuse right here, you see me right here. Put that fuse tap in, put the fuse in. You're gonna run this wire over here to the remote wire and make it connect. So basically, whenever I cut the ignition on, it will cut this wire on right here. If I cut it off, cut the wire out, which means the amp comes on and off with the switch of the key. That is ran over there alongside with the power wire. It goes right up to the trunk where the positive and everything is. I'm getting a new pair of subs, which is why the wiring back here is kind of sloppy, you could say. Yeah. Now if your amp has an amp remote, this was a remote for my old amp I had. We're gonna be running the new one here in just a second. I'm gonna take this old one out, which should be as simple as tugging on it. Same thing with running it through the seat. Find a little slot, go right through. It's caught on something, hold on. Taking this old remote wire out. I ran it between this mid pillar right here. This remote wire. Ran through this pillar, tucked under here with the rest of these wires. Make it look clean. And yeah, we're gonna remove it. It goes all the way up here, under this panel, through here, under this deck, to that switch. This is the old switch. You're gonna be running the new switch. It has LEDs and all that, so it's not a plug and play, and also it just runs right to the back of here. I'm gonna remove this old one by unscrewing it. I screwed it in there to the side. If it's nice and clean, I'm gonna unscrew it, put the new one in. Yep, old one. I ran that nice and neat between this connection right here, right there. I'm gonna go ahead and get this out. All right, got the wire unpinched between here. It ran through here, over this deck right here, through there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the rest of the wire out. All right, we got the screws for the new remote adapter to mount up on there. I'm gonna go ahead and mount it. Level put up there. I'm gonna run the wire for it back in just a second. All right, so after some more wiring, I'm running through. We ran this wire through here, up here behind the deck. I'm gonna tighten it to make it a little neater. I'm gonna zip tie this in here. Got it ran right through here. Comes out right here. I'm gonna go ahead and put it right up in the back there, so it'll be back out there in the trunk. All right, so we're back in the trunk again. If you look through there, back there in the corner where I was talking about running the wires, I'm able to pull it through right here. Same thing, had to do the same thing with the positive and the remote wire over here. And you have this new wire ran from the front of the trunk, or from the front of the car. All right, so where are my grounds at? For the line converter, which has to be grounded for a good signal, that's grounded right here, ran through up there. For this negative right here, after you get the clamps on and everything, this is how it's supposed to be for the amp, to connect it to the amp. But I'm probably gonna change it because I'm putting the capacitor in today also. This is ran behind this carpeting, through this wall, at a stock grounding point that came with the car. You're gonna wanna unscrew that, get a bolt to screw into there, run the wire to it, put it back on. You got a nice solid ground. All right, so now we're about to get into wiring up the capacitor. If you're not using the cap, you can go ahead and skip this. Positive to the amp, negative to the amp, positive amp. If you don't have a capacitor, you can go ahead and skip this. It's gonna be simple as positive to the amp, ground to the amp. What we're gonna do is ground this capacitor separately, run the positive to here, and the positive to the amp. This negative is gonna run straight to the amp. It gets its own ground. This gets its own ground over here along with the line converter. You want 2 separate grounds for your capacitor, or at least that's how I run it. But the power wire is gonna go into here and then bounce to the amp. That's how that's gonna be set up. I'm gonna show you all in just a second. I went ahead and removed the sides so y'all can get a better look. I'm gonna be grounding this under here. Usually special terminals I got off Amazon. Put the ground through here for the cap. So this is gonna have its own ground. Amp has its own ground from right here over there at the stock grounding point. This ground point works just as fine too. This is the ground for the whatchamacallit, for the line converter. All right, so the negative cable is ready to get grounded up. I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. Right now we got the cap charging up. You gotta charge the cap before we can even use it. I'm waiting for it to climb up to about 12 volts. I'm gonna help it out a little bit, get on the gas. All right, so I got everything hooked up. All right, so if you're just doing the amp only with no cap, you're gonna take that one positive wire right there, one negative, and that one remote, run it straight through here. Since I am running the cap, I took that positive wire, ran it into here, bounced that other positive wire off back into here, so that gets power. Have the on ground for the amp, have the on ground for the cap. I bounced that remote wire up here in the top, out here to the remote over here. This gets power like it's supposed to. Hooked up the remote switch up there in the front for the volume level, and the RCAs at the Blue Hyphonics right here. I'm gonna get the new speakers on Friday, which is basically a day after today, and I'm not gonna mount this up on that back wall just yet because I'm gonna tune it. I got 2 kicker comp bars coming in, brand new. I already got the box in the garage, just need to replace some speakers for them. I'm gonna put it back here in the trunk. I'm gonna tweak it, get the amp dialed in, and after that I'm gonna mount this amp right up on here. Basically, the only thing you have to do after this is run the speaker wires, which I'm gonna be running 10 gauge wires from this amp to the speaker box, and that's pretty much about it. So when I get the speakers on Friday, I'm gonna mount this up, get everything tweaked out, then I'm gonna show you all what it looks like afterwards. All right, y'all, so I finished the install for the 12s. I got the speaker wire ran back there, 10 gauge in through here. I did a custom wiring. I had to go through the port because I didn't feel like tapping into there just yet, but you know, in your stock box, you're gonna tap into your terminals, but I ran it with 10 gauge wiring instead because the stock wiring on here is more like 12 gauge. I want something with a little more power. So I'm running 10 gauge wiring right here. Goes into the port, goes into one, goes in parallel to the other, and that's the final amp setup. But you know what I'm saying, we out here with the bass competition. Got the comp bars. Tevin out here with the 2 kickers, you know what I'm saying, in the B box. This old amp in the back in there somewhere. I think it's over there. That's my old amp right there. Gave it to my man. He beating. He got the little cap. They over there working on the shop right now. Dang. know what I'm saying? You think he being hard on me? He not being harder than me. All right, so basically here goes the final look. I'm gonna mount this amp right up there, clean these wires up. I'll show you all in just a second. All right guys, now I'm done. Wiring's all clean, amp mounted, everything tucked away and ran. Ground that goes into the slot over there. Remotes, power wires, RCA, knob remote, speaker wire, 10 gauge. Pretty clean install.